Sorry, that's all you get.
Albert and I had a meeting.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane! Everybody strap in!
Poor Albert has to do everything because I don't have any control over anything while I'm on remote like this. But thank you, Albert. This is Stories from the Sky, and there are some major stories to be had. A 33-year-old dude tried to open the flight emergency exit door on a United flight.
No.
In midair. And then when the flight attendants tried to grab him, he tried to stab one of them in the neck with a broken spoon. Francisco Severo Torres charged with interference with a flight crew and use of a dangerous weapon. He was flying from LA to Boston. He was seen fiddling with an emergency exit door when he's confronted by a flight attendant. He tried to attack that flight attendant with a broken spoon, but was restrained by the crew and other passengers. Are you always in that state of readiness when you're on a flight?
We do have some video here, Mark, if you wanted me to just run it a little bit.
Yeah, please. Absolutely. Thanks, Albert. Go ahead.
Lisa Olson recorded this on her cell phone during her United Air flight from LA to Boston Sunday.
Since I'm taking over this plane.
33-year-old Francisco Torres, who's from Leominster, arrested here at Logan Airport, now facing serious federal charges, accused of trying to open the emergency door during flight and trying to stab a flight attendant with a broken spoon.
The United crew was amazing. They blocked the first class entrance, which led to the cockpit.
The video shows Torres quickly tackled by a group of passengers.
Tackled him to the ground, and there were probably about 4 to 6 of them that sat on top of him to restrain him.
In Torres's Leominster neighborhood, shock.
We actually have 2 kids here. And I was like, oh my goodness, we live next door to that.
Court documents show a history of mental illness. In 2015, he was accused of hitting a Fitchburg convenience store, passed a note to the clerk stating he had or needed a gun. The case was dismissed, and he was referred to a mental health treatment plan. In 2017, another case dismissed from an incident at this Leominster home where he lives with his parents. His mother told police he grabbed and assaulted her. He sent the judge this letter saying he was off and on homeless and wanted to get a restraining order against thousands of people he felt harassed by.
All right, so we kind of get the.
Yeah, he sounds like
he sounds like a pleasant fellow to hang out with.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. He's. It would be nice instead of just getting suspended sentences if he was at least admitted into treatment or something else happened to him that might be more appropriate. But in any case.
I was going to say, I love that all the passengers jumped in and tackled him to the ground, because that's the thing. When you're on a plane, when you're in a car on the road, you have to trust other members of the public, right? That we're all in it together, that no one's going to do anything shady or stupid. So the fact that everyone else could have been affected by his, opening of emergency doors mid-flight, tackle that guy to the ground. Sit on him until the police come with the handcuffs. Absolutely.
Well, I'm with you. I am in a constant state of readiness when I'm in that cabin. I'm looking, my head's on a swivel. If anybody steps out of line, I'm on it, because it's not even opening a door. I don't want the flight to be delayed. I want to get to where I'm going. I hate the whole thing. From the moment I arrive at the airport until the moment I arrive at my destination, I loathe it. And the longer the whole process takes, the worse it is. I'm an irritated traveler. I'm pleasant, but on the inside, I'm melting down. And if somebody pulls that crap, I will jack them into next week to make sure they don't get to the pilot or anybody else that's got to keep this damn thing running. So you can always count on me as a, what would that be? Like a provisional air marshal?
When they ask you well, he's trying to open the emergency exit road door, right? So those are specific seats that are given out, because you're like, are you willing and able to help in the case of an emergency? So they might have to reword that. Are you willing and able to help passengers trying to open this door?
To prevent it from being open. Exactly.
Are you willing and able to help with crazy people aboard your flight?
Wings of 2 United Airlines planes clip. It happened on the runway at Boston Logan Airport.
What?
This is a week after a JetBlue pilot was forced to take evasive action when a Learjet crossed that JetBlue flight on the runway as it was preparing to land. The wing of a United Airlines plane fouled on the horizontal stabilizer of another.
Oops.
Fouled, does that mean it rode up onto it?
Party
This whole
foul.
thing happened before 9 a.m. on Monday at Boston's Logan International Airport.
Again
That's
in
not
Boston.
fake. That's real.
2 United Airlines planes. Wow. I flew United to get to this location. I'm flying United on the way back.
Well,
I'd
looking
like
at
to
this
go
guy,
without incident.
at least one airline doesn't have to sue another. I mean, it's, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You had the story yesterday about the lady who died on that private flight because of clear air turbulence. It's pretty remarkable that, you know, this phenomenon that you don't hear a lot about actually produced enough turbulence to kill someone on board. You know, they tell you, hey, folks, you know, keep those seatbelts fastened the way we do up here in the cockpit. There's an example on a private flight, and she loses her life as a result of turbulence. A Lufthansa flight had hit turbulence on a flight to Dulles Airport. That's where I am. Yeah,
okay.
that's exactly the airport I landed at. I guess is that what you do? You land at, or landed in, or landed on, and then I'm going from Dulles. I like to relate as many stories back to myself as I possibly can. Anyway, these 7 people are hurt. This is turbulence on a Lufthansa flight to Dulles Airport. And these 7 people were taken to hospitals. Okay, this is, again, serious turbulence. Albert, do you have a picture of what happened on board this Lufthansa flight? I see a picture
it's even worse. It's a video of another Lufthansa flight from Austin to Frankfurt. So this is a separate story, but it's not a good time for Lufthansa. Here's the video.
Here it is. There is debris strewn everywhere for those just listening.
Oh, man.
I think we were falling for a little.
There is absolute debris wall to
We were
wall
all
in
having
the
dinner
aisle.
1.5 hours into the flight, and then we suddenly dropped. It felt like we were in zero gravity for some time because I saw everything flying in slow motion. After the initial drop.
Yeah, and then later in the video, she even shows the ceiling or the top of the aircraft, and you see like stuff sticking to the ceiling as well as the like food. So it's quite the drop.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we used to have, when we were on KGO, a pilot who was a regular listener.
Yeah.
And he wrote me some long, detailed emails whenever we'd have a story about something aviation related. He seemed like a pretty good source. Remember the 737 MAX stuff was going down at that time, and so he had kind of some thoughts on that. So I don't know how, I guess, frequent or how, with what frequency these flights run into the kind of turbulence that we're talking about, where one person loses their life on a private flight, another situation like the one we've just seen on that Lufthansa flight, a third situation on another Lufthansa flight. I just don't know. It seems as though that's pretty frequent. Now, maybe it's just being recorded more by people who have ways to record it on their cell phone, but seems pretty brutal. There are warnings not to go to Mexico. Don't fly there. Don't drive there. After the kidnapping of 4 Americans, the U.S. has listed Mexico on the do not travel alert list. But after that, travel interest in going to Mexico triples.
What?
How does
that? Like people like a little danger?
Apparently, spring breakers lead that crew. Spring breakers are hitting the beach in Mexico, even as the U.S. government is
idea, but it just might work.
is urging them to avoid cartel hotspots because of this spike in violence. Of course, 4 Americans were kidnapped, 2 butchered in the border town of Matamoros. And despite all that violence, travel agents are reporting a post-pandemic boom, bookings on pre-2020 numbers to Mexico.
No
Cabo,
one cares. No one cares about
Cabo, Cancun, and Tulum are the leading spots, but there are warnings over crime and kidnapping even in those areas. So it's
truly like no one's paying attention. Woohoo! Spring break in Mexico.
After a couple of those Jell-O shots, you don't care about any of those State Department warnings. I got to be honest.
Unfortunately, they're not even seeing the news, Kim. I'm sure they don't even know what's going on down there.
That's right.
No.
The U.S. government has to get on TikTok. They have to get on Twitter. They have to get on all these other platforms. So
how sad is that?
They could.
What a statement.
No, it's true.
At least so that they could at least see this stuff. I'm sure they have zero idea. So.
And finally, in Stories from the Sky comes something. We do the serious stories, the weird stories, or whatever. This I think, falls into both serious and weird. Increasingly, immigrants trying to get into America are flying to Canada and then trying to immigrate to the U.S. or pass into the U.S., cross the border into the U.S., might be a way to put it, from the north. As a result, U.S. officials who are charged with protecting the borders are transferring a bunch of Border Patrol agents who were at the southern border to the northern border to cover migrant crossings from Canada, since they are rising in such huge numbers. What happens is they fly legally from Mexico to Canada,
right,
and then cross south into New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire and make their way into this country.
That's real.
That way. Yeah.
Those are the immigrants that have a lot of cash to throw around, because how many of the poor migrants waiting at the border with Mexico are going to be able to hop a flight to Canada?
Yeah, it's $350 one way, that ticket to Montreal or to Toronto from Mexico City. So Kim's right. I mean, you need a couple of dollars. Now you have to pay a couple of dollars to the coyotes and some of those people who say they'll get you to the U.S., right? So this is, the problem is now there's hypothermia. There are a lot of ways to freeze to death as you walk literally into the U.S., or you're secreted away in some van or other transport vehicle. It's a pretty scary way to try to get into this country in the cold weather, but that's what's happening. And so they make that flight, and then they try to make their way into the U.S. And with that, my friends, that is Stories from the Sky.
This has been Stories from the Sky. The captain has turned off the seatbelt sign, and you are now free to move about the cabin.
Now, hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.